to Formula One, live from Miami International Autodrome. This is sprint qualifying at the Miami Grand Prix. We are back on track. We are about to have laps at the limit, on the edge, once again. Round 4 of the Formula One World Championship, and it's a sprint weekend as we continue our journey around the world and our circuit journeys around the Hard Rock Stadium. 5.4 kilometers, 3.3 miles, and 19 laps for our first race of the weekend tomorrow. This is the session to set the grid for it. We're really looking forward to it after a really tight only practice session of the weekends. Over the water to downtown Miami, the racetrack 15 miles away from the iconic Golden Sands, and we are further up the coast at a venue that is used for a tennis tournament, for the NFL, and at this time of year, for the last few years, for the visit of Formula One. A roasting day here, 52 degrees track temperature. It is on circuit, an air temperature of 30 degrees for the spectators to enjoy, and there are plenty of them in position, ready to enjoy this first session of consequence. 44 minutes across 3 sections of qualifying to set the grid for the 19-lap race. In the commentary box, I'm Alex Chase. Alongside me is Julian Palmer.
I'm glad we've returned with the Miami Sprint Weekend. It feels right. Practice earlier on was longer, it was 90 minutes, but I want to see who has brought upgrades that are working the best, who can mount a challenge for Mercedes, and thankfully we get to find out right now. It's our first taste of cars in full throttle action, chasing ultimate lap time on a Friday. Charles Leclerc was rapid earlier on. Ferrari looked good, raft of upgrades. The Macarena spinny rear wing is on the back of this, as it is on the Red Bull, who have also bought a huge amount. Max Verstappen was much happier earlier on as well. Can he be more of a factor towards the sharp end than he was in Japan or China? And then there's McLaren. Whole new car is how Andrea Stella described this one. And plenty of upgrades, more coming from Montreal. We know how efficient they are putting things on the car and extracting lap time performance. They all are chasing Mercedes still.
A couple of years ago, McLaren invested in a brand new wind tunnel. Ever since that's come online, when they've brought parts of the car, it tends to take them further forward. A superb correlation between what they see in the data back at the factory and then on the racetrack. It's made them devastating at developing a car, and they hope closing the gap to Formula One's form team. And you can see it's Kimi Antonelli, our driver's championship leader, who is ready to go. He had a slight issue with the power unit in practice that they were troubleshooting. That was the team's word earlier on, and George Russell was talking about issues with the turbo as well. So Mercedes the team to beat if you look at the standings in the championship. 72 points, Kimi Antonelli is our leader. It's 63 for George Russell, and the Ferrari pair of Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton, and the McLaren pair of Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri. The benchmark driver in practice, you're looking at him, Charles Leclerc, with a light blue crash helmet for this weekend. Almost all of the field have changed things up, but none more so than Racing Bulls. You can't miss them out there with that luminous yellow livery.
Clock's ticking already, 30 seconds in. I love as well these sessions, how quickly they fly by. Before you know it, as a driver, you're heading out, and then you're suddenly like, hang on, this is the last lap of SQ1. It really does creep up on you, the chance to go through. One set of tyres, has to be the mediums in this first part. Plenty of teams haven't run the medium tyre yet. It's the C4, it's the second softest on the range. The Red Bulls ran the yellow walled mediums earlier on, so did the Cadillacs and the Aston Martins, as well as the Racing Bulls. But this is the first foray for Lando Norris out on this tyre today, and we will see if he's got as much chance as he had here for the last 2 years. A win, a front row start last season as well, and he looked really good earlier on in practice. Didn't get an ultimate lap time because he found a bit of traffic, but Norris as well looking a threat.
Cars pouring out onto the circuit. A full grandstand on the main straight here. Instant action on a sprint weekend. This is the visor cam from the reigning world champion Lando Norris, part of the queue. But as you say, Jodin, it is a circuit where he has fond memories. His breakthrough Grand Prix victory here in 2024. He was side by side with the race leader in the opening corners. That was Max Verstappen a year ago. And he was shown the traditional defensive manoeuvre that you get from any race leader on the start of an opening lap. Gave the opportunity to Oscar Piastri. Oscar Piastri took that chance. So McLaren are back-to-back winners around here.
Like you said there, I think he needed a tear off on his specs as he was looking down in the gleaming sun of Miami. For the saved power units, not having the easiest of runs in free practice, not least with the Mercedes cars themselves. You're waiting for the moment, but they can't wait for long because we're already into the first 10 minutes of this session, usually 18 minutes. The drivers know that they don't have a huge amount of time to move cars in this temperature, so that's why it's a sedate start.
Well, we sometimes see close moments between cars. Rarely do we see it between teammates.
That's okay. I think they knew what was happening. I don't think it was
We were all desperate for the drama, aren't we, between the two Mercedes? Has it happened there? Is that the moment the title race balls up? It was close, but they joined the fast lane and they now move into their third laps. And then detail that the drivers have had to apply to even this part of push laps this year. The prep almost as important as the
The temperature's crept up another 8 degrees of track temperature from where we were earlier on. So you need to make sure that the tyres are not open up. That's a big issue, particularly by the time you get to this final turn, the hairpin at turn 17. Some traction to get out and navigate these flat out slopes. But you've got to make sure the tyres are good when you hit the brakes just about now. If you're
Actually, are so many people earlier on racing for the first time in see a fantastic change of direction that we get 4, 5, 6, 7 crucial corner you watch where you take all the momentum onto the back straight and you units critical braking on coming up. We're using 6 cars at the end of the session, which comes up on you quickly.
With the fastest car. The yellow flag is out somewhere. It's at the final turn. She'll get there very shortly. He's coming through 16 now, still pushing. He'll have to back out of it. That
The LED board, last stroll has come to a halt. Everyone's out laps being affected here. Lando Norris's push lap being affected. Can Stroll get going? No, that's ruined the lap for Lando Norris.
gets going now. You can't overtake when you're in that yellow flag zone either. So Norris bails out. He's put a lap of energy through the tyres, a lap of heat through the tyres. He's got no payback for that at all. The clock keeps ticking down, so we're 6 minutes 20. And this just makes it hard for everyone else to ensure a good lap. Leclerc's got through though.
That has not affected everyone equally. Charles Leclerc goes to the top of the pile. That's where he was earlier on in practice. If Charles Leclerc then gets to the Lewis Hamilton's lap is unaffected as well. Ferrari in there too right now. McLaren seeked out their laps affected by the poorly timed yellow flag from the static Aston Martin.